Okay. So we're going to begin off by I'm going to direct everybody here to this website. Uh, Here's the link that we're going to be doing the training on. It's going to be a little bit more hands-on, so you'll be able to kind of log in and actually play around with the site as we are going through this. So you're going to go to this website here. This is going to be our main training hub. To log in, you want to use this link here. And within that link, you're going to use the, sorry about that. You're going to use the username training user and then this password 1234. I will leave that up here for a second. And if you could just log in, and I will share my screen here. Okay. So when you log in, you'll notice that you're logged in because you'll go to this page here. It says member for, this one says 1 month. So that's how you know you logged in. And also the other thing that you'll notice is this sidebar admin menu. So this is one where you're going to kind of live to kind of be able to manage your content, create new content. This is where you're going to be doing this stuff as well. The other thing you'll notice here is this feedback button in the corner. This allows, and we'll go over that in a bit, but that's going to allow you to actually submit tickets, or if you need help with something, that goes to our maintenance team just so we can kind of get to it quicker and identify those things. But we'll go over that more in a bit. Oh, the login info. Yeah, let me just switch back over here, and I will post it in here as well. So I'm gonna go back in here. So that's how you know you're logged in. So I'm gonna go back to the home page. So for those of you who haven't really explored or seen our new platform, this is kind of what we have out of the box. So when we spin you up a new container and we have demo content in there for you to kind of see, this is kind of what you get and things that you'll be able to take advantage of. You might notice things like news, events, meetings. Those are the type of content that you'll be able to create right out of the box. And we'll go over that here in a bit. This landing page, you see these different components. Just know that these components themselves, they're called custom blocks. You'll be able to create these components on the fly. They're already structured for you. All you have to do is just kind of input that information, the text, the images that you want, and it will format it for you. We also have these cards that we'll be going over a little bit more today. But then there are some pre-structured stuff out that you don't need to worry about, such as these announcements or this latest news. If those are already structured out for you, they're not blocks that you necessarily have to put in, but it's going to be something where if you are taking advantage of those news and events content type, it will build out this list for you. So when I post up a latest news, it will automatically appear on here, and you can always feature certain news content types that go along with it. So these are some of the things that you'll be able to take advantage of straight out of the box. But one thing I do want to try and direct our attention to is going to be this admin navigation that we have on the left side. So when you get your new website and you're working within Agency Platform 2, you're going to be managing your content. You're going to be creating new content, and we're going to go over that. All of that's going to be kind of kept within this toolbar that's here. One of the first things you'll notice is that when I'm not hovered over it, it doesn't display anything. Maybe you're not as familiar with the icons and what exactly they mean. If you go down to the bottom here in this left-hand corner, this left bottom corner, there's a little arrow button. If I click on that, that actually brings up just those the name of those icons, just so you have a little bit more context to exactly what you're looking at here. Once you kind of get familiar with it, just to have a little bit more screen real estate, you can just minimize that as well. But for the time being, I'm just going to keep it open as such. So the first thing you'll take a look at here is going to be this top navigation item. It's going to be this, when I click on it, it's actually going to take you back to the home page itself, but you also have some tools to be able to kind of work around here with this. The, let me just go back to the home page. So you have some tools to be able to kind of work around here with this. The, let me just go back to the home page. So you have some tools to be able to kind of work around here with this. The, let me just go back to the home page. So you have some tools to be able to kind of work around here with this. The, one of the things you might notice is that this is where the logout button is kept. So if you ever need to log out once you're done working for the day, you can go ahead, hover over that, and go to the logout. The next thing I want to cover over here is the content. So the content tab is actually where you're going to go a lot of the times, whether that's going to be managing the content that's already on your website or if you're adding in new content. You can also take a look at the media library, and we'll go over that in a bit, but that's for all the media that you have uploaded to the website, whether that is documents or if that is images that you're using around the site. If you ever just look at the library itself, you'll be able to do that here as well. Below that is going to be the structure. So the structure is mainly going to be your it's going to be your menus. So like the main menu, you can be able to go in there to edit it if you need be or move things around. And we'll go over that a little bit. Taxonomy. Taxonomy are terms that are used that we use in order to categorize certain content. So sometimes you'll see a drop down where you're able to kind of select from a list of things, and usually those are comprised of taxonomy lists. These are just more so, you won't be able to edit them, but you'll be able to kind of at least take a look at what's there. And if you ever need to request something to be added, whether that is for a document category, you can reach out to us and we can add those onto your site. You also have a list of your web forms. Now, web forms is going to be something that you're going to want to take a look at here. So I'm going to click on web forms here. So this shows you all the web forms you may have on your website. So when you go through the migration and we've added in your contact form or any other web forms that you have in your existing site and put it onto your new site, this is where you'll go to kind of at least take a look at those web forms and also see the submissions themselves. Right now, because this is just a spin up, there's no submissions here. That's what these results would be. But for the ones that we do have here, this was just a test. I'm going to click on this result. This will take me to the submissions for this particular newsletter sign up. So if you're ever wondering where to go to kind of take a look at all your web form submissions, this is a good place to kind of go to take a look at all those submissions, download those submissions, and have them for your convenience. I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you guys here. We're going to go over them more in detail, but does anybody have any questions so far about the admin menu here? Okay. We will continue on here. So the last thing you'll take a look at here, you have this option for configuration. You can pretty much ignore this. If you click in any of these things here, you actually won't be able to see anything. It says that you don't have administrative items. You don't have the privileges to be able to do that. That's for admins. So you won't be able to kind of click in there. It is displayed on there, but just know if you're clicking around in here, just know that it is normal to say that you're not able to kind of see anything. But the first piece that I do want us to take a look at is going to be under content. We're going to go to overview. So when I click on overview, what this does is that this gives me a list of all the content that I've created for this particular website. This is where you'll go in case you have stuff that's already there and you want to manage it, or if you're looking for something that you were working on, but maybe you had lost it in just once you were saving it, you forgot to link it somewhere and you need to go back and find it, you'll be able to kind of search for it in here. So here, I'll be able to kind of pull up those things that, even if I want to search for it by title, I can search for it by the type of content it is, whether that's a basic page, an event that's coming up, or a leadership staff member that I have created a profile for. You'll be able to kind of sift through it through there. So as an example, if I wanted to take a look at all the staff profiles that I created for this website, I just go click leadership and it shows me all the staff profiles. So you kind of sift through it pretty easily there. So going back to any will give us all the content again. But then if I ever need to just search for it by title, because I knew what I called it, I just did public and I filtered it. It shows me all the basic pages that are created that have the public in the title. So get familiar with this, because this, again, this is going to be something where as you're searching content, you're managing the things that are already there. This is the best place to kind of go to find that content. So if I wanted to go and work on this particular content type, I can click on it, or I can click edit on the right hand side here under operations, and it will take me to the page itself, and then I can go ahead and change things around as needed. Anyone have any questions on this overview page for content? Okay. The next thing I want to go over is going to be this this media library. So again, everything that you've uploaded to the website, it doesn't have to be done through that media content. It's when you are creating events and in the events content type, you're uploading an image that may go along with that. Everything will be put into this media library. So you'll be able to kind of access that to take a look at all the images that are in your repository. By default, we have stuff already there for you to take advantage of. These are stuff that we have that we got licenses for, where you'll be able to kind of just go in there and actually use these landscapes of Arizona that we have already built in there. If you want that look and feel for your website, you'll be able to take advantage of those as well. But there's icons in here, but there's also PDFs that you may have uploaded. So if you ever needed to just manage your PDFs or take a look at stuff, or maybe you want to clean some content up, again, just like the content overview page, you're able to kind of just filter this out for everything that you need. So if I wanted to take a look at just all my documents themselves, you can take a look at all those documents that are on this website. So if there are old documents that need to get cleaned up, this is one way of doing it. However, this might not be the best way, and I'll show you why here in a second. But does anybody have any questions on the media itself?
Hi, Vince, this is Dennis. Yes. With regards to the media, there's stuff that obviously we may have on our own site, as well as the stuff that's available through just the overall ADOA side. Are all of these going to be blended together, or for each of us, we're going to have what we have as well as what the ADOA side provides?
So it's not going to be blended together. So this content that we have, at least for when we first initially install your site, it does come with some just placeholder content, whether that's those images or those files in there for placeholder purposes. But however, if another site is doing stuff, it doesn't connect with each other. So you don't have to worry about if ADOA website is adding in all this content, then you don't have to worry about it if your site is separate. So they're both separate repositories.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question, just because for our site, this is Kim Gallen with Arizona Department of Revenue. We have like logos and stuff for our cities that we have. So we're able to bring those ones over to be able to put in this media?
Yes. So during your migration, whether that's a paid migration or if that is a part of our turnkey solution, yeah, all of those files are going to be moved over. So it's going to be set up in a way where it's all connecting the way that it should. But in case you ever need to just double check to make sure all of those logos are in there, that is a good place just to go and take a look at all the media that's on your website.
Okay, thank you.
And again, it's a good tool to kind of take a look at all your media from a high level. But however, like I said, it may not be the best place to add it and to delete it. And we'll go over why that is here in a second. So I will. Any other questions before I move on? Okay. So the next thing I want to go over is going to be adding content. So it's one thing to manage content. Obviously, you're going to want to continue to expand upon what you have. So there's going to be a few ways that you can add content itself. On the content overview page, you have this button here in the right-hand corner that is add content, and this will take you to the various content types that you're able to add. So, but before I do that, you also have, just kind of quickly, if you go to hover over content and you add content, it brings up that same kind of information where you can quickly select what type of content do you want to upload, whether that's a news or a press release, or if it's just a basic interior page that you want to create. So, but going it through this way, if I click on add content, this kind of brings up that same list, but with a little bit more detail about what exactly they do. One thing I do want you guys to take a look at is this service content type. And this is something that's going to be, this is something new that we're introducing to all agencies to take advantage of. And that's actually to be able to identify all of those services that you provide for the state, whether that is for just for your employees or even as for the public, just so they know exactly those services and they can kind of find those services, easily identify them, and get more information about how to participate in that service. But that's a whole nother thing that we'll have to go over at a different time. But as far as adding content, again, when I clicked on that button, it takes me to this page where I can choose what type of content I want to create. So, for example, I'm going to take a look at leadership here. So when I click on this and I'm adding new content, this has what we call our fields that are listed out, things that are required in order to kind of put out this content so it looks good on your website. So for this one, for example, I'm just going to create one for myself. I'm just adding in the information as needed. It's just a simple form that I'll be able to kind of fill out. I'm just going to use the image that's already there that's provided. Of course, you would want to probably upload some type of portrait image in here of yourself or whoever you're featuring for your agency's website. Job title, let's just say it. My job title is Cool Dad. Category. There are different categories here that you can kind of sift through. So again, this is like one of those things where we're talking about where we have this taxonomy, where we have a list of things. We can always add on to this if you want to specify certain categories of your staff, or they could be board members. We can always add on to this list. But we'll say that I'm just staff. Phone number. Again, some of this stuff is optional. You don't have to do this. So you don't have to put out a phone number if that person doesn't want their phone number or email displayed, right? Because they don't want to be hit with any kind of information that or spam calls or anything like stuff. But it is there for the people who do want to put that out there for the public. So again, it doesn't mean that you have to fill this information out. There's stuff that is optional, but the ones that are required are going to have this little red highlight on it, as a red star. But for this one, I'm going to put Justin's email in there. And then biography. We're just going to throw in some lorem ipsum in there. If you guys need a good lorem ipsum generator, I definitely recommend Cupcake Ipsum. So it's fun. I like it better than just the regular lorem ipsum, but I'm going to just copy this here. Let's go back and put that in there. And then everything else I'm going to leave as default for this particular content type. And I'm just going to click save. So now that I've created that, obviously it shows my profile that I created under leadership. It has my name, it has my title, and then it has the email address that's associated with it. And then here's my biography. So now that I've added that, if I go back and I go to the leadership page, it has added me onto the staff category. And again, those categories, we can customize that for your particular agency, but those are the type of things that you'll be able to kind of take advantage of right out of the box. I didn't have to do anything. It goes to where it needs to go. When I go ahead and click on this particular image, it takes me to my more information, my profile itself. But that's kind of just a good example of adding content onto your website. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. So we can go ahead and move forward here a little bit. One of the contents that I do want you guys to take note of is going to be a basic page. So for a basic page, this is going to be kind of a majority of the pages that are going to be on your website itself. So this, if you wanted to make a simple interior page, this is the way to go. You know that the information on it is going to be static, but it's information that you want to share, and you're going to put it onto the main menu. This is a good way to go about doing it. So if you're not going to do anything fancy as far as adding a layout that with some cool blocks, and we'll go over those in a bit, what those blocks are. It's simple enough for where you can just go ahead. I'm going to create a test page here. Again, I'm going to throw in that cupcake Ipsum, and I am going to go over here to this right side. So taking a look at this right side admin bar here, there are a few things that you can do here. When you have a revisions log message, so if you're ever editing something, it's always good to kind of put in here what you changed. Again, it's not required, but it is something that will be good for if anybody goes in and notices that there is a change and that there's a log message that they can at least reference to. They'll have a little bit more context as to why things were changed. But that's all kind of a workflow thing that could be based off your own agency, kind of how you guys want to do things. But that is there for you to take advantage of. The next thing here you'll take a look at is going to be this menu setting. So if I wanted to place this particular page on the main menu, I would select this. I would go over to the main menu settings, and then I would provide a menu link. So for this test page, I want it hosted under about. And I'm just going to leave the weight as 0. We can always change that at a different time. But this is the best way to actually add menus or add links to your main menu. If you do it about it in a different way, there's a possibility that when you change that page, if I wanted to change this test page to call it test page 1 or 2 or whatever, it's going to change that path on the website itself, and it might break your main menu. However, if I did it through here and it's managed through here, it will update automatically without me having to do anything. And that may not make total sense to you guys right now, but we'll go over that in a bit. But this is always the best way to always add on to the various menus that you can add on to. So again, calling it just test page. You can always change it here. And if you want to add a description, you can. But then the parent link, I just want it. It's going to be under about in the main menu. Scrolling down here, you have your meta tags. You can go ahead and just kind of ignore them, kind of keep them as is. They just kind of allow you to add meta tags to the page to allow for better SEO. We've kind of set it up in a way where whatever is there by default will help out already, so you don't have to do much there. But just know, if in case you're wondering what that meta tags tab is, that's what that is. And then the other thing you may want to play around with is going to be this URL alias. For 90% of the time, you just want to keep this as the default. But if you want to specifically have the URL, so this the path, right? So it's what's in your browser if it's at google.com/whatever. That's what that URL alias means. So if you wanted to go and say, I want this particular page not to go to its default, which will be its title and under the main menu. So technically, because we're putting it under about, it is /about/task page. But if you wanted to customize it for whatever reason, you have that option to do that. So you would just unselect that and put it in your alias here. And then lastly, down here is just going to be your authoring information. Again, just kind of leave that as is. It's defaulting to your information and the date that is being created. And then the last thing is this promotions options. This promotion option, scroll down here, promoted to front page, sticky at top of list. This isn't going to do much. This is kind of just a default Drupal thing, but we've kind of gone away with it from how we've set things up. So even if you were to click on this, it's most likely not going to affect anything. So you don't need to worry about that. But does anybody have any questions on this particular side navigation menu?
Yeah, I do. With regards to the posting of the actual code that you did, is that going to be the regular what you see is what you get, or is you're going to actually be able to change to be able to put actual code information or HTML?
Yeah.
And also go ahead.
Yeah. So for the so for those of you who don't know what he's talking about here is the WYSIWYG editor. So WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. So it's just kind of your text editor, something you're probably familiar with using either Google Docs or Microsoft Word, where you'll be able to kind of put in your text here, and you're able to kind of change things around. So if I wanted ice cream, bold, that's what this is called. It's called the WYSIWYG editor. So we're going to be actually improving upon this. Right now, it's a very basic thing. There's not much that you can do here. You do have the ability to change this to what type of format you want to do. There's going to be a full HTML. So when I click on that, you get more options here at the top. It allows you to kind of change things around if you want your text centered. But we're going to be improving upon this process where I think we're only going to allow for basic HTML, but we're going to give you more options to kind of mess around with that. So Dennis, to answer your question, as far as doing kind of source code, again, if you're doing a little bit more HTML to it, if you wanted to go that route, we'll probably switch over to that full HTML. And then there's a source button here that you can click on where you can actually see the HTML that's being generated behind it. So that's where you'll go to kind of change that stuff out.
Fantastic. Because beforehand, there used to be a link that was at the bottom that you can switch between enabling the hyperlanguage or having it just as regular to do the editing.
Yeah. And then back in D7, they call it like enriched text versus non-enriched text.
Yes.
So yeah, but that's what the source button is here.
Also, when you make the comments up there as far as what changes and what updates you do, is that viewable only by people who have admin rights, or is that viewable by anybody going to a special link within the page?
It's only viewable by people who have admin privileges.
Great. And then the last thing is that when the page gets created, I know that in the current system, we go through nodes if you want to make a direct reference to a page versus the name, because sometimes if you make the change of the name and you reference it by the name, it breaks the link.
Yes. So that's still the case here. You always want to reference node wherever you can. However, doing it in a certain way obviously will prevent those type of things. So because I'm adding it through this menu settings page, you don't have to worry about that. It's going to link. It's going to link correctly, and if things change, it will make sure it changes along with it. So you don't have to worry about that. Also, when you're adding in certain links here, so if I was adding in a link to this body, let's just say this link, and I hover over this, highlight it, click on this links, and I wanted to link this to a meetings. So this is meeting 1. That's something it does. It'll automatically do it. So you just select which one you're looking for, save it, and then now that link is there too as well. So you don't have to worry about knowing exactly what node it is.
Great. Sounds good. Also, just let you know there's some questions in the actual chat.
Okay. Yes, I didn't see that. Let's see. Marlo, so for the redirects, yes, there are redirects that you'll be able to do. We might have to kind of just have those. It's a privilege thing, so we'll probably have to. I know that as familiar you are with Drupal, you probably get a higher power user, so you'll be able to have access to those redirects and create them for that.
Sounds good. I also asked about the. Can we set multiple menu links? Is that still part of that?
Yeah, that's still part of that. You wouldn't do it through this particular menu because this is only pertaining to just this page. But then if you wanted to create a menu item that's linking to the same page but just housed differently, you would go to the main menu and just edit it there, and then you would add it there.
But that would mean it's manually entered, it wouldn't. Because the old way or the D7 way, it's all literally tied to the page, to the node, even though you put multiple links in.
Yeah. Yeah, so you do it. It's just a more manual process. Obviously, there's more room for error there. So not to get too deep for, I think, because I think we want to keep it basic. But yeah, you would want to just point it to the node itself, just so in case those titles of the alias itself ever changes, that it will still point to that particular node. But yeah, I don't want to get too deep into that. On a basic
that's
class.
fine. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So now that I have this information in here, I'm going to go ahead and click save. So when I click on save, it has now created this just this standard basic page, an interior page. And this may be all you would need or want. You just want to share that information in there, and that's good to go. Right now, as you can see, because I put it under About Us, here's my test page. Here is the sidebar navigation that goes along with what's under About. But when I hover over About, there's my test page as well. So that kind of shows where I put it in the main menu. And then if I ever change things around, it will move around as well. So that's kind of going through a basic page. Again, a lot of your content will be basic pages in one form or another. So it's always good to kind of familiarize yourself with it and knowing the nuances of what it takes to kind of create a page like this, a static page. And we'll go over a little bit more of an advanced basic page at a different time and later. But next thing I do want to show you guys here is resources. So resources is kind of a new way we kind of want to approach kind of uploading all of those different things that we are sharing for our agencies, whether that's budgets, policies, statutes, and rules. This is always a good place to kind of upload those resources themselves. We have an example in here as agenda. For those of you who have board meetings that you need to share, resources actually won't be the best place to post up those agenda meeting minutes and agendas. It would actually be best to do it on the meeting itself. But for resources, if we're talking about policies here, or we're talking about statutes and rules, this is a good place to go ahead and do that. So this is a content type that I want to share with you guys. So when I go under add content and I have resource here, I'm going to click on resource. We're going to call this test resource. And then you have the different document types. Now, again, like I was saying, we can always add on to this list for your needs for your business. But these are kind of the ones that we have out of the box that we know that we usually kind of take a look at here. And you're able to kind of select multiple things if it is something that is categorized as multiple things. So for this one, I'm just going to select budget and strategic plan. Then you have the option to either link to either a different page, which could be a good case if it's just something you're featuring on a different website. If you're referencing your statutes and rules and you want to just link off to the Arizona legislator website, this is always a good way to do that. So you put that link in so you don't need to update it in case those ever changes. They'll update it on their website. The other thing you can do is obviously just add a document itself. So if this was a budget document, you can upload that file itself onto this resource, so it would link to that document. However, one thing I want everyone to start kind of thinking about, because documents themselves, we're going towards the cloud. We are having this cloud infrastructure. We're using Google. We're a part of Google, and some of these policies are being changed into Google Docs, right? So if I was uploading a policy, I would probably rather, instead of trying to download that into some type of text document and then upload it on here, it might be best if I just link off to that Google Doc, have it so people can view it, the public can view it. And if those policies ever change, I just go ahead into that Google Doc, change the policy information in there, and then I don't have to worry about re-uploading it onto the website. That link will always be the same, regardless, even if I move it around in my Google directory. But those are the type of things that you might want to start thinking about how you're uploading those. So it might be a better place than uploading them onto the website itself, because if those policies ever change and you have a PDF that's uploaded, then that means you need to upload that PDF again with the newest information and then delete the old one. So it might just be just a thought process that we're going through as we're starting to have this more this cloud integration with Google. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Yes, Vince, I do. What happens if you have somebody that has created documents and they've been uploaded and they're linked with the Google Docs, and then that person's no longer with the agency?
So best practices would be that person is not uploading important documents on just their Google instance. They really should be doing it in some type of team drive that is owned by the agency itself. So in case they ever do leave, that those documents will remain there. I'm not sure what exactly the process is. If that, let's say if I have some stuff that's on my Google Drive just by accident, I was working on something that I kept it in there and I'd leave. I'm pretty sure that the Google team will be able to get access to those documents still, but I'm not 100% on that. So, but best practice, there should be a team drive that belongs to the agency, and then everybody's uploading their stuff on there.
Okay, thank you.
So, but on the shared drives, the Google shared drives, you get the link, but would we have like a specific shared drive for just this site? Because there's certain things that our access isn't allowed.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You would have something that's just probably specifically for the site. Again, it's whatever's going to be set up that's best for your agency.
Okay.
Those links, a specific document can be a public document, and it doesn't mean that all the other documents are public. You would just have to, and again, I don't want to get too deep into this. It's not a Google training class, but the document itself can be made public. So you can just view just that document as long as somebody has the link for it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. So again, you have those two options: to upload a PDF or to do a link that links off to somewhere. So just note that if I were to do a link here, so if I did HTTPS www.google.com, and then I also uploaded a document, it's going to take the link first. So just know that. So if you have both of them in there, that's what's going to happen. But if I remove the link and I just have the resource document, what's going to link off to will be that document itself. So for this example, I'm just going to put in a link here. And then again, throw in description. We will throw in this here. And then I will click save. So again, these will be a good case for uploading all your budgets, all the policies that you want to share, because once these are uploaded and I go to my resources here, here's my test resource that I put in here. It's categorized as budget, strategic plan. And then if I click on more info here, it actually has that description. So if you ever want to add descriptions that are associated with that, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine. When you choose not to put in a description, this button just won't be there. So, but just know the difference. So again, if I wanted to just take a look at all the budget documents, people can easily do that. And then they'll see all just the budgets. They can also search by keywords. So what this does is actually searches the description for the document itself. So if I go in here and search pudding, for example, and I apply, only test resources is going to show up. So that's just another way. If you put in some good description in there and people are searching by keyword, I want to find something that's about this. It's a good way to kind of find that that information. And again, you can just search for it by the title of the actual resource itself. Did anybody have any questions on that? Okay. So
I just had a quick question. That you said upload a PDF. It handles all types of files that are in the allowable list, right? That are
yes, it does.
And we can edit that list.
Yes.
For the field on our sites. Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And I would definitely recommend, though, if you can make it a PDF, you should definitely make it a PDF. It's just the most accessible type of document to share. So just something to keep in mind. but you're not limited to just PDFs. Okay. This leads. So I know I've been talking for the last 40 minutes, kind of just giving you a spiel of everything and kind of how to do things. But I want to kind of get you guys to just start playing around with this as well. So taking a look here. Whoops. I want you guys to do your first task. So we're just going to create a resource. I want everybody to create a resource. You're going to add the content. You're going to create the resource. The title can be whatever you want. Choose whatever document type you would like. Then you can add a PDF or just a URL to a website. Add a description in there and then click save. So I'll give you guys about 5 to 10 minutes to kind of just go ahead and work on that real quick. If anybody has any questions during this time, definitely just let me know. Maria, so embedding videos as a resource. So embedding a video, it would be a little bit different, obviously, right? Than just linking off to maybe a YouTube video that there is. So if you wanted to just link off to a YouTube video that was helping with some type of training or whatever it is for your agency, you can go ahead and do that. However, if you wanted to embed an actual YouTube video on your page itself, that would be different, right? So you would go in to your if you're creating a basic page, there's actually an embed video button if you go to the full HTML, and you can embed a YouTube video easily in there. But also, I'm starting to wonder. I think you could probably do it under descriptions, so you can link to the YouTube video, and then under descriptions, you could probably embed it in there. So when you click on more info, it probably just actually bring up the video itself. I'm sure you can do it that way as well. This is one of the pitfalls of doing online classes, because usually at this time I would be walking around helping people individually. So right now we're kind of just sitting here in silence as you guys are kind of working on the stuff. But again, if you guys have any questions, just let me know.
With the test documents we're uploading, these things will be eliminated or deleted after the test, correct?
Yes. After this training, I'll leave it up for a little bit in the sense of anybody wants to kind of continue the training. I will revert this back to what it was before we started this training. So technically you'll still have access if you want to kind of go in there and play around with it. But yeah, it will be wiped after the training.
But it's okay if we go and continue to experiment with it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. As long as you have the link,
Yes.
that account, that training user will be there for you to take advantage of.
Great. Thank you.
Victoria, yes. So the documents that you have on your website during this migration process will be transferred over. For those of you doing the turnkey migration, we are working with our vendors who are going to be doing the migration, and we're actually identifying what those things that classify as a resource, and we're creating a resource content for it. So when we notice things like your budgets that you're posting, some people just post up links to just various budgets. What we actually do is that we take all of those budgets that you have posted, put it into the resource, so that now you're able to take advantage of that resource content type. So those are the type of things that we're doing. So yes, all the documents will be there. And then we are putting things into the resource content type as needed, or as we identify it. Yes. So for those of you who have board meetings and you guys have those those recordings that you need to upload. We do have something for the recording for the meetings. If you go to the meetings content type and you're uploading the information, one of the things in there is going to be your audio minutes that you're able to upload those MP4s. You convert those files. One thing we probably will be adding on here soon is just going to be a link. So it might be best for you to leverage Google, your Google Docs, upload all your audio files in there, and then you just link to those audio files. But that's something that we'll introduce at a later time. Right now, you would go in there and upload them onto that meetings content type. Larry, I would suggest that you to go when you're done is to go and take a look at that meeting content type as if you're adding one in there, just so you can kind of play around with it. Judy, yeah, and I'm also going to copy. Thanks for that, Dennis. I'm also going to copy over what the username and password is for you to log into the site to play around with it. Okay, I'll give everybody about a couple more minutes, and we'll continue on here. Oh, you know what, Amanda? Yeah, you might not be seeing yours. Let me change something here real quick. Actually, Ralph, can you go in there and add and change the number that's showing on that view? I don't have admin privileges on this account. Sorry, everybody, just 1 second. I'm just going to change it. There's just a setting that's under that resources. Probably why you're not seeing yours. So I'm just make sure that it is up to date. Okay, here we go. This tab instead. Okay, so continuing on here, taking a look. I'm going to minimize this admin menu right here. So I'm going to refresh this. And as you can see here, we have all the budgets and stuff that you guys kind of uploaded. Does anybody have any questions as far as this process itself? Kind of what I was pointing out here, these board meeting minutes, because there's no info that was associated with, no description, then that button is not going to appear. But for the ones that do, you can click more information to get a little bit more information about those resources. Any questions about on this?
Is that listing things based off of just alphabetical or the time in which they've been entered in?
This one in particular, I believe it is alphabetical, obviously numerical first and then alpha. But we can always change what that is. I think by default, having it been alphabetical is probably the best what you want to do. Just so it's easier to for people to kind of sift through things, but that can always be changed. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and continue on here. So the next thing I want to go over with you guys have a pretty good feel of how to create those content and have it be just managed by the site. Not much you have to do there. But there are some things that maybe you want to kind of add on a little bit more things to make your site look a little bit more unique, whether that's some type of slideshow like what we have here, or some type of block that we have an image with some text next to it. This gives it a little bit more of a kind of custom feel, and you're kind of able to do that. So what I want to introduce to you guys is actually called our layout builder. So under those basic pages that you create, you'll see something here is called layout. So when you click on that tab, it takes you to this what is called a layout builder. So here you're actually able to kind of create those components, whether that be a slideshow, whether that be a text and image. This is where you go ahead and do that. And you can create the various sections, or what is called kind of like the region that it falls under. And you can create different quote unquote sections that content will go in it. It could be as simple as just some text you want to throw in there, or it can be this image and text that go along with each other, or it can be these cards that you kind of create here. Now, cards are pretty popular, and it might be something that you want to leverage here. But I want to show you kind of go about how you go and do that for your own testing purposes. So let's take a look here. I'm going to go in and I'm going to create a new basic page. I'm going to call this, we're just going to call this cool page. And for the body, because I know I'm going to do a layout structure where I'm adding in those components, I'm actually going to leave the body blank. And I'll show you why here in a second. Everything else, I'm just going to make sure that this page is connected to the main menu. I'll keep it as a main menu navigation here. And I'm going to click save. So right now it created a blank basic page, but now I have kind of a canvas to kind of work with to create a layout that I want to do here. So when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and click layout. It brings me to this layout builder. So there's definitely a little bit of a learning curve to this, but once you get used to this, this is actually a very powerful tool and it's very easy to use. So for this particular page that I'm creating, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a block in here. We have this default section 1 that actually goes across the entire width of your website. This is a good region for adding in slideshows, banner images, whatever it is that you want to do. So when I click on add block here, what this does is that this allows me to create a custom block. So you'll see all this other information in here, and this is something you can pretty much ignore for the most part, unless you're specifically looking for certain fields of the page itself. But ignore those. What you want to go here is just to this top button that says create custom block. When I click on that, that actually takes you to this menu that shows you the different components you are allowed to work with. So these components are going to be those elements that we kind of went over, those slideshows, those banners, the text with image. Definitely, I would say go in here and start playing around with this just so you can kind of get an idea of what each of those are. I'm sure some of you have gotten the links to our our website that we're currently building that shows off kind of what our platform is in those components. If you take a look at that components page, it actually will go over what each of these things look like. So you can kind of get a reference of what it looks like before you create it, or you can just go ahead and create it and see what happens and see how that works for that section that you're creating here. So, but does anybody have any questions so far on this?
I do, Vince. With regards to the creation from the layout, is this all scalable, respective of the different medias that people go through, computer, mobile device, etc.?
Yes, these are, and we get into a little bit more of that in our deeper dive training. Kind of get a little bit more deeper into this layout builder, but I think for the basics, kind of use what's in there. We're just going to go over the basics today. But yes, this is have a responsive design that goes along with it. Make sure I'm not missing any questions. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a banner image. This is going to go across the top of my page. When I click on that, you'll notice that it has the default banner. Leave those kind of the default, the title. Make sure that this is unchecked, or else it's going to put some type of title that says banner up there. You don't want that. You just want the image itself. So for this one, I'm just going to say we're going to call this you are what you eat. Actually, let's just call this, we'll call this pool page. And you are what you eat. Then you have a link. That banner can have a link. So when someone clicks on it, it'll create a button that's there that will take them maybe even to a different page. You don't have to put it in there. I'm not going to put it in here for this purposes. But just know that option is available for a banner. But the one we want to take a look at here is actually going to be this add media. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add media. So far, what we've been doing has just been taking media that's already in our media library. But I want to go through that process of actually adding in a new image for you to take advantage of. So up here at the top, we see this add file. I'm going to go ahead and choose file from my own desktop. So for this one in particular, I'm going to take this image here. It's called the barbecue banner. Okay, so let's see. This is, hold on. If you notice this issue where if you choose that file and nothing pops up, something should pop up. I'm going to just refresh this page real quick because it's not working how it should be right now. Go back to banner, title, page on what you eat, and image, choose file. Let's try a different image. Okay. Seem to be having an issue with that. Not sure why that's not uploading. All right, I guess we're
Is
gonna
it the file limit, perhaps?
No, it would tell me if it was a file limit. Plus it's only 2 megabytes. It's not that big. The reason why it is not showing up on here, it should be pulling up a new menu. But I'm just going to choose something that's down here. Why is this not working? Okay, hold on a second. Let me reset this here. Okay, 1 second. I'm just going to log out of the meeting and come back in. I think I need to restart my browser here. I'm not sure why it's doing this. One second. Okay, sorry about that. Yes, let's try this one more time. If this doesn't work, then I know there's a different way I would be able to kind of show you guys. This might just be a setting that is messed up here, but let's take a look. All right, we're switching over to something else. Okay. So what you should be seeing, and there might be, you guys, if you guys are playing around with this, there might be actually permission things that I'll have to fix here in a second. But if I'm adding in a banner, again, we're just going to call it a cool page. We'll call it description. You are what you eat. I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to add in the media. And I am going to choose from my documents here. Again, we will use something called barbecue banner. So here we go. So this is what's supposed to happen, right? So when I upload an image, you'll come across this media admin menu that shows for this particular image that we uploaded here. So when you're uploading an image, what you want to do here is actually for the alternative text, try to be as descriptive as you can be. You don't need to be overly descriptive, but just note that for people who are vision impaired, when they have their screen readers, say they have their iPhone and it's reading back to them what's on the website, this is what that screen reader reads back to them. So if they're looking at an image, obviously somebody who's vision impaired will have trouble with that. This will at least read back to them. So you want to be descriptive as you can be. So an image of a grill with some barbecue. And then when you do this, when you're uploading images, you're going to have to go through what is called, you're going to have to go to this cropping tool. So this actually crops the image so it actually can be used in various places and different components around the website. So you have your card, there's a card teaser, a slideshow, banner, and a square crop. Now, we are requiring that you go through each one of these crops just so it's all set up. So once you crop this image, it can be used anywhere and you won't have the issue of having things that don't look nice and consistent with other images on your website. So by default, none of them are selected. So you have to go through and select each one. So for this one, for this card teaser top crop, I just go ahead and I click in there if I want the default, and it says cropping applied. That's how you know you've applied this crop. Next is your slideshow. Going to go ahead and select that. The banner. This is the one that I'm actually working on. So kind of want to configure it a little bit to match what I want it to do. And then you have the square crop, again, kind of selecting on it. And then I'm going to scroll to the bottom. You have this button that says show in media library. You don't have to select that to show into the media library, what we were talking about before. This was actually an old feature that we had that just, it's kind of legacy. It just doesn't do anything. So just make sure that it's published and the name is correct. You can always change that name if you want to. But I'm going to go ahead and click save here. So now it is on this media library. I can select it, and then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and insert selected. So now this puts it into this block that I'm currently working on. So it is there. It looks good. I'm going to go ahead and create add block. So now that I've done that, it went ahead and created that that image that I wanted to do here. So if that's what I wanted to do for this page, to create that banner image, I'm going to go ahead and click save layout. And now that banner is on this page that I did. So anybody have any questions as far as creating that kind of banner or creating these components?
Vince, when you have all the media already on your site and you transfer it over, do you need to do this for all the different types of images that already exist on the site that are getting transitioned over?
We will be doing that for you. When you do that transition over, this is kind of more so for those new images that you're uploading. Any new images that you're uploading, you're going to go through that process as far as just doing that, cropping and kind of placing it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now that you kind of have that banner created, but there's probably, you're taking a look at that, you're like, you know what, I can't really read that white on the end at the back of the image. There's some things that you can kind of go ahead and change what's there. So I'm going to go back to that layout builder. I'm going to hover over this component that I created, this block, custom block. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select configure here. There's other things here that you're seeing. You might see some of these on your side of things, but right now I'm logged in as an admin. So because I was having issues with the other thing, but I'm gonna go ahead and click configure. This is something you will be able to do. So when you want to go in here, whether that is you want to change out the image, you can X out of this and upload a new image. You can go ahead and do that. But what I want to do here, because the problem I'm having is reading that white text against this image, you have the ability to add in an image overlay. So this kind of just puts in this dark image overlay, so it allows the text to kind of stand out a little bit more. This could be the ways you want to go. If the image I had was more was bright and the white was just really hard to read, regardless if I put an image overlay in there, you can always change that text color to black through here as well. But for this image, because it's darker, I want to keep it white. I'm going to update this. And then as you can see here, it kind of puts this dark tint over it. So it's able to kind of, that wording is able to stand out a little bit more. But now that I'm kind of creating this basic page with this nice layout, there are some other things that I want to kind of do to it. Because I have cool page already displayed as that title for that banner, I really probably don't need it in here. I'm going to go ahead and remove this block. This is actually called the title block. If you accidentally ever remove it, you can always add this back in. So I'm going to remove this title block. So it's no longer there. I still want to leave the breadcrumbs in there by default. That's pretty good. For this one, I know I'm not going to need I don't want any sub navigation on this page to show up. I'm just going to remove this one as well. Again, these are all components that if you remove them, you can always go back in and add them in. And the same with the body field. I don't need this one either. So I'm going to remove this. The body field was that kind of default when I was creating that basic page, that body that's there. Because I'm kind of creating this custom layout, I really don't want to mess around with just the body because I don't want it to be just a different place I have to go to. I want to manage all of my text and content through this particular layout builder. So I'm going to remove that as well. Now I kind of just have this page that has this banner with a breadcrumb. So I want to add in just one more block in here. So let's take a look at, I'm going to create this custom block. And I'm going to use this card set. So a card set is going to be a little bit different from, you might see homepage card. A homepage card is just going to be one image that looks like a card that maybe you want to display somewhere. However, I think for the most part, when you see those card sets where it's like 3 in a row that we have displayed on various websites, you're going to want to use this one. This one is going to be the one that works best. So I'm going to create a card set here. I am going to you have the choice to kind of create what type of card it is. You have the default, you have a basic card, an image action card. That just means that you'll different styles that it will have. But right now I'm just going to use the default. And then you have how many columns do you want to create? Do you want 3 cards side by side with each other, or do you only want 2? But you can also go up to 4 as well. So if I were to add in 4 cards, or if I were to add more than 4 cards, what it does is that they start stacking on top of each other. So you don't have to worry about creating another card set with four of them in there. You can all manage it within the same card set. So, but for this one, I'm just going to create 3 as an example. So I'm going to call this one card 1. Add in a media image. I am going to upload one more here. Let's see. This one. So again, just want to take you through this process. All right. Again, going to go through these crops, make sure it looks good in case I need to use this later. Those are good to go. I'm going to click save. Add that image. I'm going to throw in a link for this one. And I'm going to put learn more. In the body, this is a test card. You can put in whatever you want here. And then, so now that's my first card I created. So when I go to, if I want to add an additional card for this card set, you add card here. But if you were done, you go ahead and click on add block. But for these purposes, I'm going to go ahead and click on add card. We'll call this card 2. Add it in media. Quickly do this. RNA. Banner square. Save it. More. So there's another card we are showing. I didn't. That last one we're going to do here. Card 3 and media. URL. Again, Google. Learn more. Obviously, these URLs, they can be relative as far as if I was just wanting to go to Google or whatever it is you want to go link to, but you can also go and link them to pages that are on your site. So right now I just typed in contact. It shows the contact us page. So if I wanted to link to that, it does it there as well. Go on the body. This is the last picture of some pizza. And now I'm done. So once I'm done there, I'm going to go ahead and add block. I've added in my 3 cards. And they're the cards that I created. So I am going to go ahead. That looks good. That's kind of how I wanted it to do. Actually, one thing I do want to show you here. So those cards are good. Now, I was thinking that maybe this is not exactly the layout that I wanted to. So again, you can go back in afterwards. Go into the card type, change what it looks like. I'm going to change this to a basic card. That's my favorite card type. And I'm going to click update here. So again, it just shows you how you can change around those displays of how they look. So that looks good. I'm going to go ahead, click save layout. And here we go. So it kind of just creates this landing page I have now, has that banner image, and then it has these 3 cards that I'm featuring, whether those pages that are going to work. Again, it doesn't have to be card sets. They can be all those different components. But does anybody have any questions at this point? Okay. Let's see, Maria.
Just let you know, Mario posted something.
So Maria, yeah, if you replace an image, it will go through the cropping process as well to make sure that they're all cropped the same. So that's if you're replacing the image file itself. But you can always, again, in that process, if you just exit out of that image and you upload a new image, you can go that route as well. But if you go through that media library, you can replace the image, but you'll be required to do the cropping again. And yes, I probably should have chosen a different topic before lunch, but I want to get everybody hungry. So by the time you're eating your lunch, it's going to be really delicious. So with all of that being said, I did want to go before we go through this, because I know we're running a little bit late. So for those of you who have to jump off here at 1:30, I'm going to be staying a little bit later. I want you guys to kind of go through and create a page like this, and we can answer any questions that are going. But Do want to let you know our next meeting is actually going to be our Drupal User Group meeting. It's going to be on March 16th, right at the same time at 12. This is kind of more so going to be, it's not a training, it's just more so for people to kind of come in to talk about how their migration is going. I can answer any questions, whether they be more advanced topics or something that's a little bit more basic. Definitely stop by. It shouldn't last more than 30 minutes, but it's just kind of more so giving people the opportunity to kind of meet with us, talk with how things are going, what are your likes, what are your dislikes, what are things that we can improve upon. So that will be our next meeting. As far as our next training, which we do a deeper dive into going into all this stuff that we're doing here, that's actually going to be in 2 weeks. So put that on your calendar. We'll be sending out reminders to everybody, but that's to kind of do a little bit more deeper dive, playing around with the this layout builder, adding in new sections, kind of configuring it so you can make a really unique page itself. But are there any questions before I continue on to this last task that I would like you guys to do? Okay. So for any of you who are still sticking around, I do have a last task for you guys to do. So it's called Let's Talk About It. So I want you guys to add a content. You're going to create a basic page. We're going to kind of follow through what we were doing just there. So you're going to create a basic page. The title can be your favorite restaurant. Don't add a body in there. Again, just kind of save it and then go to that layout. So we can do that layout building. So under the menu settings, though, you want to click that parent item. Right here it says the food, but actually I mean the cool page, the one we just worked on. So definitely link that parent item for as cool page, then click save. And then I want you to add in the slideshow component, add in 2 slides, add in a card set with 3 cards, and then you can add in a basic block with a description below the card set. I know it's a lot there. We kind of had to speed up this process. There's usually one task before this, but let me know if any of you guys have any questions. I will be sticking around here for the next 10, 15 minutes. So let's go through that and let me know if you have any questions on anything. Oh, why did it? No. Let's see. I'm pull back up those descriptions here. There you go, Maria. So I apologize. When I enlarged it for presentation mode, for some reason, it kicked me out of the presentation. But here we go. All right, while you guys are working on that, I will actually update that page to say the food. So it lines up what we're doing here. So some of you might notice that when we started adding on all these main menu items, it's been kind of, it makes it to a point where you'll see that little hamburger menu. So if you add in too many stuff to the main menu navigation, there's too many links. What happens is that it's actually built into, it turns into this hamburger menu. So if you click on that, it actually expands it out from the right. So you can kind of put in as many menu items as you like, but just know that because of the purposes for responsiveness and also just for things to kind of look consistent and look nice, it will form to that if you're putting in too many menu items into that main menu. And I'm going to fix that here for everybody in a second, just so that's not displaying as a hamburger menu. Let's do the food.
Does the test site time out after a while? Because I'm getting an error saying that the site can't be reached. The connection.
It shouldn't. It's still working on my end, but I'm not seeing it time out. Is anyone else timing out?
Mine isn't timing out.
When you guys create these basic pages, make sure to list the parent item as the food, the page called the food. So I'm going to move some of the stuff away, because if you don't label that parent item, then it goes to just the main the top level for the main navigation, and it's going to start stretching things out. So I'm going ahead and moving some stuff around here. I see everybody's kind of already doing that. Okay, there we go. Try to fix some things in there. So if any of you are having trouble with the layout builder, building these custom blocks, it is a little bit of a learning curve. But like I said, like once you kind of get used to this, kind of creating those landing pages or adding in these components to enhance pages that you may have already have created, it definitely becomes really easy, and kind of move things around, create the sections that you need to. But yeah, this is kind of just the start, the basics of it. So if you're having trouble, don't worry. You'll be able to kind of pick it up as you're kind of continuing to use it. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. I'm gonna give you guys about 5 more minutes to kind of working on. I know there's a lot to do for this task. Probably next time I'll probably break it up into 2 separate tasks. But let me know if you guys have any questions on anything so far. Oh, I've been talking to myself this entire time. Kathy, yes. Sorry. So that file upload issue, that has been something that was something that we probably ran into. So I just upped the permissions for everybody. So if you just take a look, try to see if you can upload that image again. Yeah, I think there was just a permissions issue. You might see a little bit more in the for the side navigation, but this is just because I upped the permissions to allow you guys to upload those images. My apologies. I need to fix that. All right, thanks, Amanda. So remember, when you guys are done kind of creating those layouts, make sure to click Save Layout, just so it starts displaying it. But I will go ahead. It's been about 15 minutes. Again, take your time. This site will be up. Play around with it. But I'm going to kind of just pull up here on this page. Let's see. All right, so taking a look at these pages here, looks like everybody was putting it under the food. Here's all good places if you guys need good places to go eat at. Does anybody have theirs done that they would like to share, just so we take a look at it?
I forgot to do the 2 slides, so I've been adding that. But you're welcome to take a look at mine.
Oh, which one is that?
Rigatoni.
Rigatoni's, okay. So right now, I'm sure you've had stuff already in there, but there's nothing being displayed. Usually it's because you're usually working on it. And so when you're ready, go ahead and click Save Layout, and we can just take a look at what's there.
Okay, I think I just saved it.
Okay, refresh it here. Okay, here we go. So we have the slides here. We have the cards that are here. So one thing you might notice is that these are kind of stacked right on top of each other. Those are the type of things that we'll go over in a deeper dive how to, when you run into those issues, as far as kind of adding those spaces in there. But Dennis, if you want to drag those rigatoni slides and put it into that top region, which I think is called section 1.
Okay.
And then click Save. Let me know when you do that.
I was editing the image instead of editing the layout. Oops. No. Shucks. Okay, I think I just saved it where I moved it up.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. Okay, it's moved up a bit. Here, let me see. I'm going to go to the layout. You do mind if I change it around here?
I don't mind at all.
Okay. So you did move it up. You were able to, as you can kind of see, you moved it from below one block versus the other. For banner images and for slideshows, we have this section 1 that's here at the top. So yeah. So if I drag it up here, it displays, looks good. It kind of goes across. It gives in that whole that banner type, kind of what you've seen throughout the site. So if I click Save here, then it goes ahead and creates that banner completely. So, but no, this looks good. I mean, yeah, this is, like I said, it's a learning curve. Once you get used to this whole content layout thing, so you do some really cool stuff with it. But does anybody? So yeah, but this looks good. This is great. Do you have any questions on that at all?
I don't. It's just having to get used to the new environment. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Does anybody want me to go over what they're working on, so I can maybe help them out with what they created? Okay. Does that doesn't sound like anybody else wants to has any other questions? So right now, like I said, we have this recording. We can send it back out to everybody. Again, I'm going to leave this up for a bit. This training, so you can kind of work with what you were doing, play around with it, add in new content, try different content, see how it works. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me. I'm just going to throw in my email here in the chat. You can also ping me on the Google chat as well. Probably get to me faster anyways. So, but yeah, let me know. Thank you all for coming out to this training, and we will see you at the Drupal User Group meeting and also future trainings as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.